Morning, guys. Mark Fresh, Protect Dog Training, and Big Boy. He just came out the door, and we let him out earlier to go to the bathroom, so he shouldn't want to go like he did. Now, I wanted to do a little bit of a yak session in regards to a little short that I put up. I've got a bunch of them that I did yesterday when I was at Home Depot. But a lot of what you see me doing is building into my downstage, my around the corner work. So I wanted to accent how important waiting is, right? For one of the accent points that I've given you over the last few weeks working him is that I see a lot of these kids going out taking Malinois and these high drive dogs. Even my Czech Shepherd, very high drive type of dogs, my Dutch Shepherds. And one of the things that I'll see these dogs come to me, and that one dog that I mentioned was a dog that had been worked by another kid that had been getting into it and had himself a couple of litters of puppies, and they were taking the dogs out on line agitation and then spiraling them up. Basically, I look at it as their brain is forming and just getting into becoming just like their bones and their structure and everything else. It's all brand new, and it's growing and it's developing. And for you not to treat that brain like a muscle, like you would anything else, and their structure, and being worried about their hips and their elbows and pounding off of things, we worry about all those things, but nobody stops and thinks about the dog's brain and how that brain is developing. And if you develop it properly from a young age as a puppy, you're going to be a lot better served, right? So waiting is a big part of the dog's life. You hear about a lot of trainers come out and they say the Kuranda bed is one of the most important things you can do. What is that? That's waiting. It's staying in one position and being relaxed and having an off switch. And one of the things with these high drive dogs, you hear about people all the time. You got to exercise them all the time. Well, there's where Cesar Milan with his Dog Whisperer show got into talking about energy and dissipating that energy to make a dog a lot more functional in the world as far as his behavior, because when you tire them out, they get tired and they're a lot more prone to be less getting into problems, chewing on things, getting into negative behavior based on all that pent-up frustration and energy that needs to be dissipated. So on one side of the equation, one side of the spectrum, that is very true. But when I met Arrow, the grandfather of all these dogs that I've got, Arrow was my main bloodline that I started. One of his biggest things, very twitchy, very fast, very, and a lot of people really are attracted to that. But at the same time, without having that off switch and having a dog that will do both, nope, correct, couché, correct, good, correct, good, correct, good. You have a lot harder time in life in general when a dog can't relax, right? I see. Even the dogs that are used in law enforcement, they're high drive dogs and they're going after the suspect all the time, that getting wound up like that. We have a video that just came out recently where a cop was having a dog. He was in a pin-up area. He's probably doing a search for a suspect and everything, and the dogs get so spiraled up that, as Justin Rigney kind of explained it, was just there's a miswiring. There's an arc going on that's not a good thing. And somebody asked me to make a comment on that thread, and I didn't feel it was my place, because that drive state that those dogs go into in law enforcement and get to that pitch is a lot more than my daily experience. Not that I don't understand it, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm not going to wade into an area that Justin's already waded into. Know your role and stay in your lane comes to mind, right? I'm pretty good at what I do, and I understand the wiring of a dog and can do a lot of different things. But when it gets into it, the daily process of dealing with dogs like that is not something I've had to deal with all the time. And so I'm not going to wade into that subject. I see. Good. Good. Couché. Good. Correct. Good. Correct. Good. Correct. Good. I'll start accenting that and start teaching him what I want him to do. So how I approach things, you notice I do a lot of this downstays, a lot of around the corner work. I do a lot of noise desensitization. When I'm out there, I'm banging on things. I'm making a sound. I'm always usually bounding on things. I'm saying, hey up, hey up. And the idea basically is that the dog's going to get so used to me making the sounds that he associates any of those loud bangs and booms and forklifts and all that. He associates it towards me. And that's one of the reasons I like Home Depot, because I can get all that type of environment. I can sit there and bang on things and make a big show of it. And that settles the dog down, gets me what I need to in my around the corner work and builds into my downstates. But look how much work I put into it. And the reason is I want to teach a dog to settle like he's doing right now. You saw him put his head down. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at him learning to settle. Good. I love it. That's exactly what I want. And this will be a big part of his life. Throughout his life, we'll always be addressing things of his states of mind and his energy levels in the work, right? Doesn't mean that I don't want high pitch, that I don't have dogs that are drivey. Believe me, when they get wound up, they go plenty. It's not hard to wind the dog up. I always tell people it's not hard to teach a dog to bite. It's easy, simple. The hard part is getting a dog to be stable, being good with people, having the right demeanor in regards to that, and being confident to a point where he's not. Fear is a big part of your big enemy. Fear is one of the most important things you can overcome. That and confidence when you're building a dog. You see me doing all this agility stuff, running them across metal tin, up and down stairways, doing all kinds of stuff to build that confidence. Yep, just like you would a child. That's why children have playgrounds, believe it or not. They're getting used to their bodies. They're getting aware of their bodies. And that's the same thing I'm doing with him when I'm doing all this work, right? Good. So just keep it in mind as you see me working dogs. The other thing you'll see me talking about a lot is where is the person's head at when they do all these sports and everything else, the ribbons and trophies. And it's fun to get out there and be accepted by your peers and to stroke your ego when you're a young person. But reality and truth, as you get older and you start to get more experience, that isn't as important to you anymore. It never really was with me, because I can go out in public and show off all I want, and the general public jaws drop and they go, "Oh my God!" And that's all I need. That's my trophy. That's my ribbon. And getting out and talking and educating people and showing them how to do it. That's what I live for. I don't live for my peer group sitting on a bench thinking I'm all that because I've got a focused heel to die for. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's admirable. You look at that and you go, man, that's so cool. But the hours it takes to put into that and the functionality behind it, how functional is that in the real world? That's what the other thing you see me coming back to is wanting things that are functional. That's what I train dogs for, is functionality. That's what I look for in different breeds, is their function. What have they been bred for? What is their genetic stamp? You hear me talking about that all the time, right? And that's the things that turn me on. Yep. Good boy. So just a little yak session as we work the dog here this morning. Yes, good boy. Good. There you go. Good. All right, let me do my focus since he's in a good state of mind. Let's do our up, change of positions with our focal point, right? Couché. Good. The reason I gave you that and used Oscar, it was a great example because I saw what he was doing, and it's a great function, putting a signal, yes, behind that focal, yes. As soon as he comes back to it, yes, I mark it, right? Good. See? Yes. Couché. Good. Hey, it's starting to add up finally. Finally, the synapses. Before, his brain wasn't there. Dabu. Good. Good. Asi. Good. Couché. Good. There it is. I'm starting to sense when I touch, he's feeling it and he's going down. Dabu. Good. And then Oscar's already working on back. Couché. Good. And I look at it as it's really just installing the motor movements and we were talking about it yesterday where we were doing the lining up of the wiring, right? What am I talking about? Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Couché. And I always do, this example is constant with me. I'll always come back to it. I always compare the guitar because I played guitar when I was a kid, and remembering what it felt like to line up the synapses with my fingers and my brain and all line it up, and the unconscious doing the job for you at once you got it. When you first start, you're changing chords, you have to think about it with the front of your brain. And after a while, your unconscious picks up and you no longer think about it. Your fingers are just falling where they need to go. And that's what you're striving for when you're playing any instrument. But a guitar is a really good example of that, because your fingers, your brain, everything has to line up, and then music has to come out at some point, right? So to get to there, you're basically lining up all the synapses and all the wiring that make your whole unconscious work where you don't have to think about it anymore. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. This is what the same kind of wiring I'm talking about. I'm talking about the unconscious part of the dog's brain where he's unconsciously doing the behavior without even thinking about it when I touch and put a signal, right? Now there's a pattern set. I've got 3 different positions and I've done the same 3 positions every time, right? Good. Notice I'm not giving a word. Double. Good. Which I can put in. Couche. Good. There we go. Now, there's a difference because I'm doing it from the stand position versus a sit position, right? Correct. Good. Correct. Good. Good. I see. Good. Now, what I did right there, I tried to create a signal that I was just coming up with on my own, which was for a down, a sit from a down, couche, 2 fingers over the back. Nope. Couche. No. Good. Focal point. Nope. Couche. Good. Emphasizing he's got to wait. Nope. Nope. Couche. Good. Good. Notice that nice pause. Good. Good. I see. Good. Now what I'm trying to do is tap him on the shoulder, right about down. I see. When I'm doing a dabu, I'm tapping him underneath the belly. So I'm trying to do the same thing to the front, right on the front. Couche. Good. I see. I see. I see. Create a signal, right? There you go. Try to touch him right up underneath the armpit in the back of the shoulder. See if it works. It will with time, but it's going to take time. So wiring is interesting when you get into that neurological aspects of things, right? Double. Good. Good. There you go. Double. Good. Good. Nope. Double. Good. Good. He keeps walking forward. Nope. Good. Good. Couche. Good. I see. Now, truth be known, I found out about that method of the 2-finger touch and the sensory trigger going into this behavior a good 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago from a good friend of mine that got it off the same person that Oscar got it from. Remember, we don't originate anything. We always steal it. We might tweak it, like you see with Justin Rigney and the half fence. He's using barrier protection, which I usually looked at as territorial. Good. In regards to that half fence, but you're tying into the dog's core of instincts that are there for you to be able to use. And there's a bunch of these core instincts. Bart Ballone is tied into that with his knee popo. Good. Using correction and frustration into drive. And it's interesting. Oh, what do you got? Oh, yeah. Good. Oh, yeah. Meat bees. Uh-oh. They've got my friggin' hot dogs buzzing this. Don't buzz this too much, buddy. You're gonna. Oh, yeah. Good. Good boy. Good. All right, hup. Good. Couche. Good. Trying to catch him in a stand position versus a sit position. It always starts in a sit. Double. Double. Good. Double. Nah, double. Good double. Good double. Double. Good boy. Good. Couche. Trying to do it from a stand versus a sit, right? Usually you always want to start your downs from a sit position. Good. Good. Notice how much of this session is all about waiting, right? Since he's doing so well with it, we're going to go with it. Good. And this is all starting to get tied together with my environmental work out in public. Because they're seeing public, they're seeing people with carts and all kinds of things that are going by them and being carried and put onto carts and baskets and forklifts and all kinds of things that they have to take in when they're in that environment. And that's exactly what's settling the dog, because he's going, oh, what's all this stuff going on around me? Good. Big boy. Good. Good. Big boy. Yep. Good boy. Good. There you go. Good boy. Good. I think you got it, buddy. I do. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nope. Come on. There you go. Good boy. Good. Good. Let's do a little bit of healing since I got a few more hot dogs. Up. All right. There we go. I see you. All right. You ready? Ready? Are you? You ready? Ready? Keywords. We're going to take it into obedience this time. Good boy. With me. Good boy. Good. There you go. But with the conditioning, it doesn't stop the dog's emotional states of mind of going to that keyword of ready, ready, because we've got it already conditioned. So right away, you have that. That's why you see a lot of trainers will go to the field and they'll prime